Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for being with us again today. Well, as much as I love HKs, I originally wasn't going to review this pistol just because there are many pistols I think just do not fit the category of concealed carry just based on size and bulk. And then I had to remind myself that there are many pistols I've reviewed that are larger ones that I personally wouldn't carry, but people are successfully doing it all the time. And I've seen evidence of it. So I thought, okay, it's not for me to say. And with that in mind, we are going to be taking a very good look at the Mark 23 by HK. Whether I agree on its concealability or not, it is one of my favorite handguns of all time. If you're curious about why and want to explore the possible methods of carry, we're going to get into all of that and quite a bit more in just a minute. Alright, once again, thanks for being with us today. If this is your first time coming to the channel, or if you have been watching our videos before and just haven't had the chance to do so before now and you like our content, please consider subscribing. You can locate that subscribe button in the lower right hand corner of your computer screen there, or from a mobile device you can scroll down below the video and you can hit subscribe that way. It's a simple thing that helps out a whole lot and we really appreciate it. So, alright, Mark 23. HK makes a lot of handguns that I really like, and this is definitely one of them. If I was even going to consider carrying something like this, I'd really have to do my homework on holsters and things of that nature. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But if you've had the notion to carry this at all, or even if just to have one of these as a home defense gun, I think to put this in perspective, I need to really let you see this next to what I call a good-sized carry gun. So, about the largest thing that you would ever see me carry in the wintertime, and even now I don't really do it anymore, I've really scaled it down over the years, would be a full-size 1911, like this Springfield Armory TRP Operator, okay? This is a pretty good-sized handgun. And watch what happens when I stick it next to the Mark 23. It kind of looks like a toy. Because the Mark 23 is huge. Why am I showing you this? Well, a lot of times I'll take a regular gun, something that's going to be for concealed carry. Maybe something I agree is a good option for concealed carry. And I always like to compare it with something of equal scale. Well, about the biggest thing that you're going to see me carry these days would be, like a little Hellcat or something. And you can see what a toy it looks like next to the Springfield. And you can see Major League toy it looks like next to the Mark 23. My point is that if you're going to carry something like this, it's going to be a deliberate effort. You're going to really have to plan around your equipment and what your purpose is going to be. Because any weapon that has this kind of size and bulk is not going to be the same thing as trying to carry a normal concealed carry firearm. So I want to make sure we looked at that first. Okay, we're going to jump right into the features here, but before we do, we want to take just a moment to thank our friends over at Don's Weaponry for providing us this absolutely stunning example of the Mark 23 by HK. Don's Weaponry is a huge supporter of firearms safety and education, and we can't thank them enough. So as usual, we're going to make sure that we are safe here, remove our magazine, and let you see that the barrel is clear, nothing there, and there's nothing there. So we are just as safe as we can be. So let's start our little top-down analysis like we normally do. You got your sights, of course. It's like a white dot sight system there. Now, you can get other sights for this. There's lots of aftermarket support for the Mark 23 because it's actually been out since, I believe, 1996. So a long time. So there's all kinds of stuff on the market, and that'll come in too when you're looking at your rail here. I'll go ahead and just talk about that. Not just everything is going to fit this. The rail for the Mark 23 is, kind of a specialty deal, but there are lights and lasers and such that you can get for this. So, of course, it has a threaded barrel, so you have your protective nut there. I like the etching here. You've got really good quality. You can tell this slide was just made to just exacting standards. Got nice heavy serrations on the rear. And of course I showed you your slide lock and release. And if you look here, this is also your takedown lever, because what you do is you line this up and you push this all the way through, and when you pull that out, then that allows you to take the entire thing apart and you know, do your basic maintenance, cleaning, that type of thing. Of course, your decocker here. This is a double action, single action, semi-auto 45 ACP. So you can see your decocker works quite well there. This does have a manual safety right here. It is ambidextrous. Okay. I'm not a big fan of safeties on my guns, but it does have one. We'll talk more about the actual trigger when we get to the range section, but I do like the trigger quite a bit. Large trigger guard. There's lots of reasons behind this. If you know anything about the Mark 23, obviously it was developed specifically as an offensive handgun for military purposes. It's a combat handgun. You know, all different kinds of people, different finger sizes, finger lengths, people in gloves, no gloves. This big trigger guard makes sense. Plus, it's not exactly out of proportion with the rest of the gun, if you think about it. So it makes sense. And then, of course, you got your magazine release here, and it's that paddle style. So you can see here and on the other side, because it's just one big piece that goes across. So you can grab it however you want to there and eject that magazine. It works quite well. You've got pretty good texturing, heavy texturing on the front and on the back there of the grip, and then of course you've got this normal texture. You've probably seen this a lot on HKs on the side. I think it's pretty nice, and it works very well together. So the Mark 23 has got a lot of features I like. I personally feel like the double action, single action is a very safe setup, and I'll talk about that more when we talk about the range. But I think it's a very safe action. And I love that in the combination of 45 ACP. And so that's going to be the features on the mighty Mark 23. All right, let's talk about the range. To me, regardless of how you feel about the Mark 23 as a gun that has any realistic carry capability, it certainly is a great handgun. It's great shooting. It has so many things going for it. And we're going to get into that, but let me just double check. Let's see that we're clear. And double check, you can see that we are empty. We are good to go here. So, all right. Now, I mentioned I like double action, single action, and big reason for that. This trigger pulls about a little over 12 pounds, and then a little under 5 pounds on the single action pull. I just don't see me accidentally pulling 12 pounds of trigger pull. You know what I mean? So it's like having a safety all on its own. It has a manual safety, but this is a safety really all by itself. If you wanted to carry it cocked and locked, of course, you've got a closer to 5 pound trigger pull, and that'd be kind of a 1911 style condition. And for me, I don't think I would do that. I think that I would probably, most of the time, I would be looking at the double action for my first shot, just for safety reasons. But of course, you can always just go straight to single action and be prepared to take that shot. So when you look at this, the single action trigger, I want you to take a look at this. So you've got just a little bit of take up here, and then a very tiny window with a super break. I mean, it is nice. I'm going to show you that again. Just a little bit of take up, and then nice clean break. The reset on this trigger is really good. I just love it. You know, the Mark 23 is considered a match grade pistol, and as good as this trigger is, and as well as this shoots, as accurate as it is, I'm okay with that definition. But I can tell you one thing, no matter what you call it, it is a really good trigger. It's a good shooting gun, and you know, it's not picky with ammo at all. I've had 45 ACP guns that were very picky, but using pretty much all the Full Metal Jacket I could get my hands on, you know, SMB is a good one. I shoot a lot of this. I had some Blazer. I shot plenty of this, no problem. You've got your good old-fashioned white box Winchester, which I've shot a ton of that. And then as far as jacketed hollow points, you know, I kind of went through the rounds on that too. You know, you got your Fiocchi here. which no problem. I kind of like those. They're well. Of course, I always get some of the V-Crown in the mix. Like I say, SIG, you know, they don't pay me to talk about their ammo, but the V-Crown has been very accurate and reliable in a number of handguns that I use, and that's why I end up having it in my tests so often, because I just like the results. Another one I really like that's very consistent is the Speer Gold Dot. Every one of these rounds operate flawlessly in this gun. And I mean, a lot of rounds were put through this gun in the making of this conclusion. So I can tell you that unless you have some, you know, I don't know, maybe you have some reloads that aren't quite up to snuff. I don't run reloads through my guns, and so I can't testify to how that turned out. But everything that came out of a box will run through this gun. And of course, you got to remember, this was designed to operate in harsh environments, to be filthy. It's water, proof and corrosion resistant. It's designed to be put through a lot of garbage and still be able to fire. I shot this gun all day without cleaning it, and it was great. Now, when I say it's accurate, I hadn't picked this gun up at all, and so I started off. I normally shoot at 21 feet defensively, but sometimes I'll do a little further out. So I was about double that. This is about 40 feet, and that's the first target. And by the second target, I was pretty much able to duplicate that to where I'm just sailing through the same hole after that. Now, the only reason why I'm showing you that, because this kind of falls in the same line of why I don't do range videos, because somebody watching me shoot a gun isn't going to teach them anything. You know, you don't learn anything by watching someone shoot a gun, because you could pick up the same gun and do terrible, or I could pick up a gun that you shoot great and I could do terrible. There's too many variables in there. But this is mainly to show you that it's a very stable platform with a very good trigger that without even really any preparation, I was able to get extremely good groups. You can see I'm inside of 2 inches at almost 50 feet. And I think that's great. So I love the way this gun shoots. It's extremely reliable. It doesn't care what kind of ammo you give it. It's all the things that you want in a handgun. So whether it's realistic choice for concealed carry or not, you know it's a good choice to add to your collection if you want a reliable handgun that can do a lot. Okay. So what's it like to carry the Mark 23? Well, I told you in the beginning that I don't really consider the Mark 23 a carry gun. So in order for me to try it out, I had to get creative. This is not something that I would... I have some colleagues of mine that will carry larger guns like the PMR 30, things like that. And they'll carry it in the back of their pants. I've even seen people that appendix carry those things. I don't know how they do it. But they managed to use sticky holsters. They're like a leather, just a plain like a Galco leather holster with a single clip. I don't know how they do it. But there are a lot of people that have just the right build. They can hide a gun like this in different places, and they're comfortable. Now, sitting down is probably a problem. For me, I've got a shoulder rig that will hold pretty large firearms, and there's enough wiggle room for me to put this in here. So I shoulder carry this under my opposite arm so I can draw from the left for a right hand, position. Obviously, even carrying this gun in a shoulder rig, you know that it's there. But I carried it with a dress shirt and a suit coat. It's starting to cool off a little bit, so I'm actually able to try those kinds of things. And with the right shoulder rig, the weight doesn't really bother me that much. But there's no way I could carry this in any other way unless I was open carrying on my hip, which I don't generally do. For me, this gun, and if you look at the history of it, this was a gun that, without a doubt, was developed for combat. And so the way I see myself carrying this gun, it'd be one of two things. I mean, I can see myself carrying this, maybe if I'm in the woods, if I'm hunting, and I maybe have this on a drop holster, have it on one leg, so I've got my gun available to me easily. It's on my property or whatever, so I would open carry in a drop holster. Or if you're in one of those situations where you find yourself unfortunately needing your gun for defense, and we're talking defense of the homeland, that type of thing, well, once again, I could see this being carried more in a combat configuration, because to me this is just too big of a gun for me to carry any other way. When I'm thinking about carrying a gun for self-defense, like I said, even the big operator here, TRP operator I showed you, this is way outside my normal comfort zone. And that's why, if I'm carrying a gun these days, typically it's either going to be like a small revolver or something more like the little Hellcat, because I can actually hide a gun like this in comfort. And, you know, people, they don't realize that comfort is a big deal. It's one of the biggest deciding factors. I know plenty of people that have really fancy concealed carry handguns that sit on the dresser, or they're in a nightstand or in a safe, because as nice as they are, they're just not comfortable. And if you don't carry it, it's not doing you any good. So for me, this is definitely not a concealed carry firearm, but it is one of the nicest, best shooting. It's a firearm that I completely trust. And like I say, there are ways of carrying this on you concealed if you want to do it, but it's going to be some work. I certainly don't recommend it, but it's a great handgun either way. So for those of you who like to carry bigger guns, if there's a way to do it, then more power to you. Overall impressions of the Mark 23 by HK. Well, to me, overall impressions, it's a fantastic handgun. Is it a good carry gun? Well, there's ways of doing it. It's not something I'm going to carry. You know, we've talked about other big guns before that to me don't really, I know people that can still carry the PMR 30, guns like that. And to me, that's a big handgun. And people do it and they like it, but to me, that's unrealistic. I would never do that because it would be so uncomfortable. This is a gun, like I say, I see myself more of this being carried in a combat situation. Or it could be a good home defense gun, or it can be a good walk in your property gun. There's all kinds of good uses for this gun. But concealed carry, for me, is not one of them. But having said that, if you're a fan of HK, or if you're just a fan of really good shooting 45 ACP handguns, then this is something you really need to take a look at. My only real gripe, and this is something that someone else might be feeling my pain, but, to get a Mark 23, depending on where you get it and what the market looks like, you're going to spend $2,300 to $2,500 on this gun. And they give you 2 magazines. Come on, HK. Come on. Does anyone who buy this gun, anyone who buys it, is 2 magazines really going to be enough? For what this gun was intended for, its intended purpose, would 2 magazines make any sense? I would have been okay with them charging me a couple of $100 more for the gun and giving me 3 or 4 extra magazines. That's how important I think it is to have a decent number of magazines with the gun. Now, of course, you can buy them, but then you're spending, $60 a piece on magazines, or, if you can't get them from the manufacturer or whatever, you may have to pay more trying to scavenge them from people that are marking them up and selling them online. Either way, I think it should come with more. But that's my only gripe. I know it's a small one. It's a great handgun, and if you want something that's fantastic for your collection, and you can afford to put it in your budget, well, then I say go for it. Carry gun? Not for me. Fantastic gun? Absolutely. Long live the Mark 23. All right. That's going to do it for today. We appreciate you being with us as always. We'll be back very soon with another video for you. So until that time, everybody stay safe and have a great day. Thank you.